Whoops, I went straight to the live. I forgot, clicked on the wrong thing. Well, there you go. That's all right. You just got a bonus there. You didn't have to watch the intro. Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here. Got everything all messed up already. We're in the man cave, as you can see. Well, I'm going to start off with a little picture that one of the wonderful viewers sent me. I thought I kept track of who sent what, but I didn't, so I apologize. So I have several things I'm going to show here that I don't have any names attached, and I'm sorry. So you can correct me in the comments if you're the one that sent this. So here's the first one right here. Health and safety policy. For everyone's protection, you are required to use common sense when necessary. If you have none, please leave. You may be excused now. And 20 minutes ago, I wrote this. Common sense ain't that common anymore. I wonder, was it really common or just a metaphor? The way kids are raised these days, it's out the door. No, I don't think common sense is common anymore. Smartphones do the thinking for the group. More power in your hand than Armstrong took to the moon. We don't use our minds to complete any chore. No, I don't think common sense is all that common anymore. Our leaders make new laws we can't enforce. Catch and release is the method they endorse. When something doesn't work, we just spend a lot more. No, I don't think common sense is common anymore. No, I don't think common sense is all that common anymore. I wrote that 20 minutes ago. So there you go. Don't expect much when you write them that fast. Anyway, I think I do have a few things to show you today that I think you'll enjoy. So let's get on with it. Let's see. Looks like we got 102 viewers already. So you've seen the common sense one. Well, you know, the bullet, the thing I found with my metal detector. Here's a couple of pictures that people sent to me. Again, I don't have names to associate. I'm sorry. I should have wrote all this down. I thought I did. I truly did, but I don't know what I did with it if I did. I need to write down where I wrote it down. So here's the bullets. The one on the left is a Gallagher carbine bullet, which is sort of similar to what I found, but you can see the bottom of that brass casing is round, and there's barely any lead sticking out. The one on the upper right there is a 22 that has no rim on it either. Now here's what a typical 22 look up. You can't see it anyway because I don't. But that's what a typical 22 looks like. It's got a rim on the back here. See that rim? Where that one on the end there is smooth on the upper right. Now that one in the lower right is the one I found. That's a close-up of this one. So, you know, I still don't think there's anything out there that matches this. Now keep in mind the one I found is fairly much bigger than a 22. It may not look it in the picture there, but it's quite a bit bigger. It's hard to show you the difference there. But the one I found is a bigger around than the 22. Mine's 30 caliber, where the 22 is 22 caliber. And if you look at that one on the lower right there, you can see there's riflings along the case. Look on that brass case there. And I'm talking about, if you don't understand what I'm talking about here on the on the base of the case, you can see those lines that are slightly at a diagonal. That looks like riflings. It looks like the whole thing came out of a gun barrel. Now, the only thing that's a little odd about it is it looks like there's more riflings than normal. You know, your average gun's going to have, I don't know, 4, 6 riflings, something like that, 3 to 6 riflings. That one looks like it's got a lot more than that. There are some guns that have more riflings than others. I have a 22 that has quite a few. I can't remember how many it has. But anyway, it just still ain't found nothing that really says that's what that is. So in case anybody else wants to look and send me a picture, we'll do some more comparisons down the road. But right now, I don't have any idea. And here's switching subjects altogether. Here's a picture that Daryl Blanchard sent me about a table that I think it's his friend that made it, which is kind of cool. The reason I'm showing you this, it's made out of walnut, which is, you know, rough sawn walnut that apparently they cut. And I'm thinking about doing that same thing to this desk that I'm using right now as a little computer stand. It was just a little cheapy thing I bought off the internet. It's got a drawer that pulls out and holds a place to hold the base of the computer. And I'm thinking I may just put a bigger top on this and make the drawer and the top out of walnut. I've got a lot of rough walnut sawed that I've done. So that's kind of what, after I saw that, I thought, you know, I ought to do that to this table here. And I could reuse the legs and the metal parts and just put a bigger table on it, because this table is tiny that I'm using right now. Moving back here, let me see, where am I at here before I get too lost in things. Over the weekend, I worked on Sue's lawn tractor, and if those of you who know, if you don't have Mama's lawn tractor working real well, you know, you're up against it, you're in trouble. And I spent most of the weekend working on that thing, bringing it up to, you know, fixing all kinds of little broken things that she didn't even probably realize were broken. And I don't know. The biggest problem is the blades on this thing. I've said it before. This lawn tractor is a commercial type lawn tractor. It was meant for, you know, like a lawn service to use rather than just your everyday, you know, homeowner. And so it's a heavy duty lawn tractor, and the blades spin up so fast on this thing. I've never seen blades spin as fast as these do. When you turn them on, it sounds like a helicopter. It's just just crazy loud. And the blades themselves, just the wind, you know. So the blades that we've been buying for it over the last 10 or 12 years, they're kind of lightweight, and they don't last very long, especially here hitting rocks and things. And she likes to cut the grass short, and there's a lot of rocks. So it wears the blades off in no time. So I went looking for heavier blades. I went to a lawnmower shop in town, and they didn't have anything. So I went to the Family Center, which is just a farm store basically, but they do sell a lot of lawnmower blades, and they do sell lawn tractors and things too. So I was looking through their blades. They had one set that's real heavy, much wider than the norm. But the problem was the center hole, and they were the right length. I needed them 21 inches. They were the right length, but the hole that the bolt goes through was the wrong size. It was 5/8, and I only needed a 1/2-inch bolt hole. So I thought, well, I'll make some kind of a bushing or something. So I went ahead and bought those blades on just assuming I could make them work. You can't just put them on there because they would flop. You know, a 5/8 hole on a 1/2-inch bolt, the blade would be flopping back and forth, and it wouldn't be, you know, it wouldn't spin correctly. It wouldn't be balanced. So I thought, well, what, you know, and making a bushing between a 1/2-inch to a 5/8 is a pretty thin bushing. That's not the best idea. So the better idea would either be, you know, you'd either have to make a bigger bolt to go up into your spindle, which would be a nightmare, and I wasn't planning to do that. So the better idea is to drill the hole out a little bigger. That way you can put in a little bit thicker, heavier, beefier bushing in there, you know. And that's really the best way to do it. So I thought, well, that wouldn't be no big deal. I'll drill it out to a 7/8 inch. And then I can put in a bushing that'll be an 1/8 inch thick all the way around, you know, because that'll take up that extra space. And that would work out. I tested everything, and I thought that'll be perfect. Well, it was perfect, except for one problem. When I started to drill through these blades, they were hardened. Now, I've never run into lawnmower blades that were hardened before, because typically you don't use hardened blades, because if you hit a rock or something, they'll shatter versus bend. Most lawnmower blades are relatively soft, actually, and they'll bend. Well, I think the rest of the blade's probably fine, but the center core was hardened right in the center, So I couldn't drill through it. I tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. And I could not. I resharpened the drill 4 or 5 times, and nothing was going through there. I mean, it was really hard. So I took the cutting torch and heated it up red hot. I thought maybe that'd soften it up enough where I could drill through it. Well, sure enough, it did. So I did that method on that one. I got that one drilled, no problem at all. Heated up the next one, drilled it, no problem at all. Heated up the third one, it wasn't having it. It didn't soften at all. So I heated it up again. Didn't help. Heated it up again. Didn't help. So that last one was a nightmare to get drilled through, but I finally got it worked out, and I finally got all my bushings made and pressed into place, and I actually pressed the bushings in so they fit really tight. I could have welded them in addition, but I felt like as hard as they were to press in place, I don't think there's going to be an issue. So anyway, I got all that done. That was a nightmare. It really, truly was a nightmare. It took forever and a day to do that, and then fixing all the other little minor problems and changing the oil. And the oil is another thing. When I went I went to Rolla first, because I thought, well, typically Rolla is a bigger place and it's got almost everything. So I thought I'd go there for the blades and for the oil and for the oil filter. Well, I had already changed the actual oil and the oil filter on the engine, but I was changing the oil and the oil filter in the hydraulic part of this tractor, for the steering and all that. Because I don't think it had ever been changed, to be honest with you. And it's 25 years older, or older. About that, I guess. So anyway, I decided to change all that. Well, I thought it won't be no big deal to get a filter, So I went to Napa and read them off the number, and they said, oh, we can have you one, by Wednesday. And I'm going, she's going to be back today, and she's going to want to cut the grass. I know her. Well, she'll want to cut it by tomorrow at least, if she doesn't do it today. So I said, nah. She says, well, we've got one at the St. Robert store. Well, it's 30-mile round trip to Rolla, and it's a 30-mile round trip to St. Robert, and they're in opposite directions. So that So I went ahead and looked around town. I went to 6 different places around town, and nobody had a filter for that hydraulics. But they had one in stock in St. Robert, so I ended up driving all the way out past the farm on the other side to St. Robert. And on top of that, would you not know, I got in a major traffic jam. Well, for out here, it's a major traffic jam. It wasn't that long. It was 15 minutes just basically dead still sitting on the highway. Pain in the neck. It's like no good deed goes unpunished, I guarantee you. But anyway, we got it done. That was a nightmare. So I didn't get to work on the water wheel at all, because everything was consumed on the lawn tractor this weekend. So my plans for today are to work on the water wheel. So I'm hoping I'll get out there and get started building that rock wall. That's what I'm wanting to do. Let's see here. I got a little short video on feeding the fish back there at the back pond. Just thought I'd show you that real quick. Just fed the fish back here at the pond, and you can see they're really after it. They're really going after it this evening. It's nice and warm out here. I think that has a lot to do with it. Sadie's just taking it all in. Can't really see them very good tonight. Sometimes you can see them, but I waited too long and the sun's already down. Anyway, it's still pretty cool. Another thing I did over the weekend was I fixed my smartphone. This is my it's the Google Pixel 7 Pro is what it is, if I can get it to work here. But, oops, it's washing it out. You can't see it. Yeah. Anyway, it is working, and I did get a heavier case for it. This outer case is heavier, number one, and then it's got a belt clip case that you can stick it in this deal and hold it like this, so the screen is protected most of the time, and I can just snap that onto my belt or my pocket or whatever, which is pretty handy. So anyway, finally got that fixed. That was a nightmare too. It wasn't simple at all. The adhesive they sent with this, I guess I bought a cheaper version of the screen replacement, and the adhesive they sent with this, junk. Total, absolute 100% junk. It was a real crummy two-way tape is what it amounted to, and you couldn't peel it off the sticker paper that they sent. It just tore the paper. It wouldn't work. So I just went down to the shop and got a roll of two-way tape that I use for putting pick guards on guitars, and just cut little thin strips of that and laid it around there. Seemed to work perfectly, actually. It worked just fine, but it won't be as waterproof as it would have been if it had had the original type adhesive. So I hope I don't drop it in the water is all I can say, because it probably won't be waterproof. Even though I did a pretty good job of putting the adhesive everywhere. What a pain. Nothing's ever simple. It's just as complicated as it can possibly be. Here's one more little short video clip. While I was back there feeding the fish, I took this also. That'll give you a close-up of the water coming out of the spring here. You can see it's coming out a pretty good cavity there. This is the spring that feeds this back pond. So you can see it runs down through into the pond. So that's the name of that tune. I think that's everything. I think that's everything I had for you. Nope. One more thing. You know, I've been doing quite a bit of metal detecting lately, and I decided to just spring forward and go ahead and get the next upgrade. And I went ahead and bought I've ordered a Mind Labs Manicore, which is like the big brother of the one I already have. I have the Equinox 800, which is a fine metal detector. It's very good. But the Manicore has a number of advantages, and I've decided to try it out. I've been watching a lot of videos where people say that it really is about the best metal detector out there. Even comparing it to other brands, people that have been loyal to other brands, they seem to really think the Manicore is something special. So I went ahead and got that, and the reason I did is because it'll go deeper, number one, and one of the key things is that it has a longer number range. Like the one I have now, it goes like from, I don't know, minus 10 or something, it goes up to like 40, minus 10 to 40, something like that. And the minuses are generally iron or something along those lines. And the positive numbers are usually non-ferrous. Well, anyway, this one goes all the way up to 100. And so that gives you better separation and gives you a better idea by the number of what you're actually digging. Once you get used to it, it takes getting used to. But like, say a 37, maybe that's a pull tab. And so then you kind of know, well, if this is a 37, it's probably another pull tab. So you can just decide whether you really want to bother digging it or not. That kind of thing. So it's a little bit better that way, especially with there's so much junk in the ground, and there is a lot of junk. And it supposedly has better separation between targets, like between iron and non-ferrous targets. It supposedly picks it out better. And then finally, it also has a little picture on the screen sort of indicating the shape of what you're digging. So like if it's a perfectly round circle, well, there's a good chance that you're digging a coin. But not necessarily. It could be a washer, it could be a rivet, it could be almost anything. So you just don't know, but it does give you a little bit of a picture ID. If you see a long skinny thing, it's probably a nail, that kind of thing. So it does give you some better idea. And the last thing I'll say about that is that I got a really good deal on it. And I'm going to hold this. I'm not going to tell you where I got the deal until I get it to make sure that everything's legit, which I think it is, because I've been watching this guy's videos, and he's a dealer, and he says he can save you money on the Manicore. Well, everybody's selling the Manicore, and I mean pretty much everybody online is selling them for like $1,700. So I thought, well, I'll see what he's selling it for. And so I asked him, and he says, I can get you into it, including shipping, for $1,400. So that was $300 cheaper. So I said, hey, that's a pretty good deal. And that's the only place I saw anything marked off on the Manicore. So, and he said it's the same exact kit that comes with everybody else's. So we'll see. If it turns out to be that good, well, then I'll tell you about this guy, and then you can all, go there too and get one cheaper if you want one. Okay, let's move on up to the top here and see who's here. John Pepper was number 1. Turtley, it looks like. And then Rod Wentler and Lester Cunningham. Good morning. Hope you are well. Play us a sing. That's what Lester said. Well, I guess I did that. Turtley, I have Waverly tuners with wood tuning buttons. Some of them are coming loose. A repairman used epoxy on one of them. Was wondering what you would use. CA glue? Well, yeah, I don't know. I haven't had that experience with those Waverlys. I don't know for sure, but I'd probably use CA glue. Epoxy would probably be a decent choice if you got the right kind of epoxy. And, I don't know. It depends on what the problem is. If the button is cracked, if it's the wood that's cracked, I'd probably use Titebond, because if wood is glued, Titebond glues wood really well. Now, if you're talking about it's like wore out and it's slipping on the key, then epoxy or CA glue probably would be a better choice. But if it's the actual wood that's broken, I'd use Titebond for sure, and clamp it really, really, really well, and make sure you get it down in the crack really good, and give it a couple days even to cure. Let's see. There's Bill Webb. He says, good morning, Jerry and the Rosa Rabble. I think that name may stick. Let's see. Looking for question marks primarily. Moving down, it looks like Bill Rhodes is the next one I see with question marks. Junior, did you ever get your truck fixed? If you're talking about my dump truck, no, I haven't been working on that yet. I just can't find time yet. But I don't think it'll take me too long. I think really I could probably get it up and working in a day and a half, or a day maybe even, possibly. Of course, it's heavy and it's hard to get lifted. I'm going to have 2 skid steers lifting it at the same time to get it back up on the truck. So I have to have Sue driving JR's or JR driving his, something to get it up there. Donald Matthews, itchy boots. What can you say? It is nuts, isn't it? Absolutely nuts. She just falls in, the proverbial, what kind of hole, and comes out smelling like a rose every time. Just like this one, the one guy's motorcycle went on the blink. By the time she got back to her room that she's spending the night, they had a new motorcycle there for her. It's like, I don't know. There must be hidden roads that we can't see. It doesn't look like it, though, because you see these trucks coming down these muddy roads that are the trucks are just about to turn over every time they move. It's beautiful. But yet somehow it just, like the clouds open up and there she is. She's just, she gets what she wants anytime, anywhere, any place. That's the way it works for me, too. I just thought I'd let you know. That's how it works for me also. Oh, my gosh. Thomas says, I put in a question and it disappeared. Yeah, it's that the clouds opened up. You got the opposite problem of itchy boots. Let's see. Thomas Armstrong, good morning. Depending on the note, at times I will hear buzzing sound from the center post treble of the ES2 system on my Taylor guitar. If I put my finger on it, it stops. Any ideas? Well, the problem with this explanation is I don't know what you're talking about. The ES2 system, got no idea. I just don't know all that stuff, you know. Especially when if that's some kind of an electrical thing, then I don't have any good idea. Maybe somebody else in the comments will. Now, if it's an acoustical issue, acoustical problem, if you give me a better description or more specific description, I might be able to tell you. But because I can usually find a buzz and a heartbeat on an acoustic instrument. Not always. There's every once in a while it'll throw me a real big curve. But anyway. Yeah, there was the one I remember the hardest, and I'm trying to remember who it was that brought it. He kept saying it was buzzing, it was buzzing, it was buzzing, and oh, it was Dr. Spadero, that's right. And he had it was on his classical guitar, I think. Well, anyway, it was a guitar, an acoustic guitar. And he kept saying it was buzzing, and I'm listening to it, and I don't hear nothing. Finally, I walked around him, and I walked past the peg head when he hit it, and I heard the peg head buzz. And bingo, you know. I mean, I worked on that. We were working on that for like an hour, and I never heard nothing. And even when I would play it, I didn't hear it. But he was hearing it somehow, and when I walked past it, then I heard the peg head rattling. Well, I knew it was in the tuning keys then, and I fixed that for him. It didn't take but a second once I knew where the problem was, but I never even heard the problem was the first problem in that case. But generally, if I can hear them buzz, I can find it pretty quick. Let's see. Jeff Puris is answering, and he says, I think the vibration is from the actual control knob. And it might be, but if it's an electrical issue or part of the electronics on it, I don't really have a good guess on it because I don't have any experience with that kind of thing. I didn't mess with very much in the way of electronics. It was almost all 99.9% acoustic. Moving on down. Rod Wintler says, Rod sent the sign. Is that? Well, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, I wish I had that tacked up on the wall here in my man cave, actually. DE, I like the song. Ronald Todd says, common sense sounds like a hit to me. Carolyn Fike, uncommon sense. Love it. Thomas Armstrong says, maybe your bullet was experimental. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure, though, just by looking at it, it's 100 years old. If I didn't know nothing else about it, I'd say for sure it's 100 years old. That part I'm almost guaranteeing, at least 100. And it could be as old as the Civil War. So, I truly don't know what it is. I want to tie it to the Civil War. That would be really cool, but I don't know of anything in the Civil War that's tied to that. I even watched someone sent a recent video to me about the Civil War museum. I don't remember where it was, somewhere near Gettysburg, I think. And anyway, they had a whole bullet collection, and they were showing all the stuff, and really there was nothing there that even looked similar to what I've got here. So I would say it's doubtful it's Civil War at this point, but who knows? The only reason I think it could have been Civil War is because it looks like this whole projectile got shot out. To me, that's what it looks like. And I don't know of any non-war thing that would do anything like that. Just, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it any better. Bill Rhodes, as if you don't have enough to do, going to take on another project. Which project is that? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess talking about the fixing the lawn tractor or something. I don't know. Anyway, the context, I lose them because by the time I get to them, I've already passed it up. I forgot I don't remember mentioning any other projects other than the water wheel and the dump truck. Ronald Todd, could that bullet possibly been shot from a black powder rifle or pistol with a rifle barrel? Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I kind of think it is. But the first problem is I've never seen a bullet made like this. Now, granted, those ones I showed you are similar made to this. But, you know, that's the first problem, is that this isn't a common type of bullet. Second of all, where would they have got it? If it did happen during the Civil War, where would they have come up with this at? I mean, I just don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions about it, but to me, it's one of the most puzzling things I've ever found, because it don't fit no mold that I know about, you know, and I haven't seen anybody come up with anything that resembles it. A lot of people keep sending me stuff and say, well, this looks like your thing. And I mean, those are great big 45 caliber or 58 caliber bullets, and they're going, that ain't even close to this. This is, you know, a very small brass and lead cartridge is the way it looks to me. And like I said, I'm not even 100% sure it's a bullet. I'm not 100% sure. I'm about 90% sure that it's a bullet, because, I mean, it's got all the markings of a bullet. The only thing it don't have is this rim back here. If it had the rim, I'd say for 1,000% sure it's a bullet. But it don't have a rim, and it's got those riflings down the sides. Just don't know what it is. It really does have me, I just wonder about it all the time, trying to think of what could that have been, and I can't think of anything. Theron Corbett says, looks to me like what you found is a modern jacketed soft-nosed bullet that has been fired. Well, that's not the way bullets are fired. You don't send the whole case out through the barrel. Not normally. And it hasn't been fired, actually. Oh, maybe you're saying that it's a jacketed bullet, that it's only jacketed so far and the whole thing. I ain't never seen a bullet made like that, if that's the case. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff. I ain't never seen one made like that. I mean, it's possible, I guess. I guess that's possible. But I don't know. I ain't never seen nothing like it. So even if that's the case, we're still hunting for what it is, because I don't have any idea what it is. But it ain't modern. I mean, when you say modern, it's at least 100 years old. So modern to 100 years ago, it could be. But I guarantee it's 100 years old. There ain't no doubt about that. That's the one thing I would bet $10,000 on. It's at least 100 years old. I can tell just by the way it looks, the patina, all the stuff about it, because it compares to all the other things that I find that are 100 years old. The stuff that like modern bullets, I find lots of modern bullets out there that I never show you. Tons of them. 10 times, no, 100 times as many as I've found of these. I mean, I have found a couple of hundred modern bullets out there, and none of them look like this. So, it's just so you understand. I do kind of know the difference between modern and old. These are definitely old. Moving on down. Wade Lilico, does adjusting make a difference if a scale length is different full size compared to 3/4? I don't think I quite understand the question. Does adjusting make a difference if a scale length is different full size compared to 3/4? Well, first of all, I'm not sure what you're talking about adjusting. And are you talking about on a violin, maybe? I don't know, Wade. That question isn't, there's not enough information in your question I don't know how to answer it. Sorry. Maybe you can give me a little more detail. Blackjack Guitar, Jerry, new project, walnut tabletop. Oh, that project. Yeah, like I need another. Yeah, you're right. Good. See, there you go. That's what I was telling you. I get lost in the context. Yeah, I don't need to take on another project, but on the other hand, I need a bigger table. So, this table is tiny. I'm seriously telling you, it's tiny. It's only a little bit wider than my shoulders. And, I'm trying to work on it, and there's just no room. So I do need something bigger. Now, the one I've got over there is a little bigger, but the drawers in it are absolute trash. I guess I don't remember where I got that from. I got that off of one of the order sites. I don't know, one of the popular places. It's kind of like IKEA, but it's absolute junk. The drawers in it are just terrible. Of course, I could rebuild the drawers, I guess, but man, that's bad. I can't believe they sell stuff like that sometimes. It's just pitiful. Blair Turner, is it possible that the bullet was defective and the shell broke off and firing and the rim was left in the rifle? No. It's made that way. It's not, there's no defect around it or anything. It's absolutely stamped and made that way. I don't think you can see it, but it's not broke off. I'm sure of that. It's smooth around there. Paul Akers, do you always mix? Got no idea. Thomas Armstrong, your bullet lead suppository. Well, maybe. Maybe. Paul Akers, sorry, autocorrect is having a bad day. Do you always mix tint or stain with lacquer or shellac? Well, actually, it's more like I rarely do that, but I do it. I have mixed, like those alcohol dyes. I'll put them in lacquer or I'll put them in the shellac or something and spray it on type thing. Like especially whenever I'm doing airbrushing, I'll do it that way. But I typically don't put any color in my lacquer or my shellac. Only when I'm like doing some kind of airbrushing or something is when I do that. That's how I do it. It's not necessarily saying that's the best way to do it. That's how I do it. Let's see. Nigel Barrage says it's a homemade bullet that fired, the rim broke, and the whole thing fired through the gun, resulting in, well, there's no propellant to make it fire through the gun. That wouldn't be how that would work. I thought, the one where the guy says it's a modern bullet, the whole thing was fired out, and that's close. That could be what it is. It'd be 100-year-old modern bullet, if you will. But they had brass casings back then. Like there could have been another brass casing around this, and the whole thing shot out. That's possible. But if it is possible, I don't know what kind of gun it would have came out of. I've never seen a bullet like this come out of any kind of other bullet. I don't know. Even if that's the case, I'm still stumped on what it would have been. But I think that's a possibility. I do think that's a possibility. Because it does look like it's been fired. It does look like it went through. The weird thing is, too, though, that it doesn't look like it hit anything. Which out here, like I said, you can't stick an ice pick in the ground without hitting a rock. So, I don't know. It's a total mystery to me. It really is. It's a total mystery. It's probably the most mysterious thing I found here on the farm. It really is. And you might say, well, it's just a little tiny bullet. Who cares? Well, there's a story behind that. I would love to know what the story is. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, whoever that was, it said that I appreciate you threatening him out of the table. Okay. Saddle on a guitar setting, the height by measuring the 12th fret height. Saddle on a guitar setting, the height by measuring the 12th fret. Well, the height at the 12th fret on a guitar is typically in the 80, 90 thousandths range. It's a couple of millimeters at the 12th fret. So that's all I know about that. Experimental Gatling gun shell. Inexperienced guess. Sorry. Yeah, the Gatling bullets, I think, were quite a bit bigger than this, though. Ronald Todd, Jerry, your screen jumped after Theron Corbett. Oh, okay, probably did. It does that a lot. Don't know where Theron Corbett was now. Golly. Well, Theron Corbett's got one down here. Let's see. Now I've lost that. I'm completely lost. Okay, Blackjack Guitar says, Jerry, the only person I know that knows everything about Civil War things is Aquachigger. He does a lot of metal. Yeah, I watch him all the time too. Yeah, I've never seen him point out anything like this. Theron Corbett, 30-06 is what I'm thinking. How many lands and grooves can you count from the barrel rifling? Well, I'm not really sure how many are there, but I'd guess a dozen. That looks like there's a lot of them. More than normal. I bet there's at least 10, if not a dozen. There's a lot of riflings. Yeah, and you know, I'm familiar with 30-06s, 30-30s. I've got a 30-30. I've got a 243. I've got a 308. 308. I've got a lot of different guns. I'm pretty familiar with bullets. Trust me. I don't think I'm the expert, but when I say I ain't never seen nothing like this, you can pretty much take it to the bank. This ain't common. I can tell you that much. Bill Webb, looks like a 30 caliber semi-jacketed lead-nosed bullet, maybe a 30-30 or, yeah, it's definitely not. It's definitely not a 30-30 or, and I don't know. It might be a 32 possibly, but I'm almost positive it was a black powder cartridge that sent this down the barrel, is what I would say. And, like in other words, the brass that was around this, if this was that way, and which I think it was, I think there was a brass cartridge on the back of this, and I bet you anything the black cartridge was fired with black powder because it's that old. So, there you go. Anyway, is it brass or copper? Well, I can't answer that one, but it's one of those. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, I'm sorry, but my phone is crazy. What I meant to say was thanks for the guy straightening you out on the table. Oh, yeah, well, I agree. Thank you. Because I didn't know what he was talking about, project. But you're right. I did mention that in passing there, that I thought maybe I need to rebuild this table. And yeah, that's another project. But guys, that's the tip of the iceberg on all the projects I've got. It's the tip. But yeah, thank you for clearing that up for me. With a blessing cap. Could it have had anything to do with a blessing cap? Right over the top of my head on that one. I have no idea what that is. Well, I think that's it. So, my 15-minute song there is okay. I have no, I, after I, you know, you have to create slides for all this stuff for the program. So after I finished creating that one, I said, oh, I ought to write a song about that. So that's when I wrote the song this morning. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for now. Blasting cap. Okay, there you go. With a blasting cap. I don't think so, but you never know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know much about blasting caps. I honestly thought it was some sort of a bullet being fired out that was supposed to hit something and blow up again. That's what I thought it was. That's really what I thought it was, an exploding type bullet. But all the exploding bullets that I found for the Civil War, and there are some, there's quite a few actually, they're way bigger. They're way bigger in diameter, so they're like 45 caliber at least. Most of them are in the 50 caliber range. And they have a button on the back or something that, I don't know, somehow or another, I guess on the impact, the button then, through inertia, strikes the primer or something and causes it to blow up. They're made totally different than this. So if that's what it is, they're not made the same. Could that bullet be France or England? Well, maybe, I guess. It could almost be anything at this point. And again, the only reason I say it has to be a bullet, there's three reasons. Number one, the riflings, because it went down a rifle barrel, is what it looks like to me. Number two is the crimp around here, because they typically crimp bullets into a casing. And then the bullet itself is lead, so all of that makes it think it's some kind of bullet. The fact that it doesn't have a rim makes me even think more that this is what did go down a barrel. And I think the guy that said a modern bullet, on the right track, I think that, and I've kind of thought that all along anyway, because I've said I think this is I thought it was some sort of an exploding bullet, so there would be a cartridge around it. You shoot this whole thing out, and then it hits something and it explodes. Because typically they don't, if they make a jacketed bullet, typically the jacket covers the whole bullet, or at least covers most of it. And they aren't usually made like this. They don't look like this. This is way longer than most of them. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that's unique about it. And I don't know. I still don't have a good guess. But I do think it was fired out of barrel. That much I'm almost positive of. The rest of it, just all speculation, the rest of it. Wade Lilico, trim saddle height by doubling what you want to take off. Is that the same if the scale length is different? Well, yeah, see, what you have to understand, Wade, is that the 12th fret is the halfway point. Doesn't matter what your scale length is. Your scale length can be this long or it can be this long, and your 12th fret will be halfway. That's just the way it works. And so at your 12th fret, now, I mean, if you have a shorter scale, you could get by with a little less height. But, you know, your typical scale on an acoustic guitar is in the neighborhood, and I'm not saying it's exact, I'm just saying it's in the neighborhood of 25 inches or somewhere in there. I don't even know what the scale length is, to be honest with you. I could care less, because I never need to know that. I just know how to fix it or make it work. That's what I need to know. So the length of it, I don't have a good guess of what the typical length is. But it's in the neighborhood of 25 inches. Now, if it's way shorter than that, if it's only 20 inches, well, then you could get by with a lower action at the 12th fret. Because the shorter the string is, the less vibration that the less oscillation the string is going to have. The longer the length of the string, like on a bass, well, then the oscillation is going to be a lot bigger, and you got to have more space. Otherwise, it's going to buzz. It's just all common sense. Where's that sign? It's all common sense. It really is. So you just have to kind of use your own judgment on that. But your typical length, about 80, 90 thousandths is a good number. And typically the 90 is on the bigger strings and your 80 is on your smaller strings. You can vary from that a little bit on either side, you know, and you should be fine. But that just gives you a ballpark. Let's see here. Bruce Hines says, thumbs up, people, 162 watching. Yeah. Blackjack Guitar says, maybe someone was trying to make a bullet to save money. Well, you just never know. You never know. Shiny Cage. Jerry, have you tried doing a reverse photo search of the photo of the bullet to see? No, I don't think I have actually on this. You know, there was a time there where I could take a picture and do a search and it worked every time. But anymore, it seems like I have trouble getting that to work. I don't know what I'm doing different than I used to do. But I haven't tried that with this. I need to try it. Well, guys, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow with something else, hopefully an update on the water wheel, if I can get myself out there and make myself get started, because that's the hard part with these big projects, is getting started. We'll see you then. Take care.